Hi, welcome to Tuesday Tea Time. We're excited today that you're here. We developed Tuesday Tea Time for busy professionals like you who have a long to-do list, and the first thing to drop off is your personal and professional development. Personal and professional development is key to preventing burnout and sustaining a long, healthy career. So I'm glad you're here today. My name is Megan Nabazik. I am founder and CEO of WithinLeader.com. We offer the full suite of services for healthcare organizations, from organizational leadership development to one-on-one personal coaching and professional coaching. We believe crisis in healthcare, and we're out to heal this healthcare crisis. 70% of nurses are claiming they're burnt out. 33% of our new graduate nurses are leaving the profession within the first 2 years of completing their degree. So this whole platform is aimed to armor people with support, mentorship, and knowledge to prevent burnout and create a holistic atmosphere so that everyone's in a healing environment. So today, we're going to start off with, we're going to continue actually, a deeper dive into management versus leadership. And I think this becomes muddled and confusing because most managers are promoted into leadership roles because of the excellent management skills they possess. But they've never been prepared with a formal leadership development program to provide them the skills and tools as an actual leader. So they fall back into their habits and what feels most comfortable and normal to them, which is their management skills. So that tends to cause problems, and we'll talk about that today. But this book right here, Leadership on the Line, great book. Get it if you can. We're going to talk about some of the principles in this today, and we're going to start off by talking about what management is and what leadership is. So management is managing day-to-day operations, driving KPIs, make sure staffing and schedules are set, making sure there's no glitches in the day-to-day operations and everything's running smoothly, efficiently, on time, and you're putting out the fires and you're troubleshooting and solving all the problems. And from day to day, you keep things running like a fine-tuned machine. That's management. And those managers that excel at that stand out to their bosses and are usually promoted into leadership roles. Now, leadership is a whole different set of skills. Leadership requires mentoring, strategic thinking, critical thinking, reading the room, emotional intelligence, a huge piece of psychology, neuroscience. Lots of things go into leading. And the key to leadership is a good leader is someone who takes the team they have and then highlights all their different talents and promotes their talents within the team to create a shining team, not one-offs here and there. And I think basketball team comes to mind that did this a great years back was the Warriors. Everybody excelled as a team, which got them to success. So, and how does a leader do that? Inspiring, listening authentically. We talked about that last week. And authentic listening is helping them reach their highest potential by inspiring them, helping them identify their own stories and solve their own problems so that they can excel and exceed to their highest potential. We want to grow leaders and empower people to think and problem solve. So the difference between the two can get very intermixed, and you're leading when let's start that backwards. You're managing when you should be leading, when people are constantly at your door asking you questions. That's a big one. 2, you find yourself solving problems to realize, wait a minute, this wasn't really a problem. And 3, people are always venting and complaining and gossiping in your office. So those are 3 significant scenarios that let you know that should be red flags. Maybe I'm managing and not leading. Okay. So let's unwind that. So first thing is everyone coming to you to solve problems. Your job as a leader is not to solve their problems, is to help them learn how to think and critically problem solve so they can solve their own problems and then apply that critical thinking to future problems. So solving their problems is actually dampening their ability to excel and reach their highest potential. Second thing, I think is really a really great. You can find yourself in this situation many times, but people will come to your office and complain. And it sounds like there is a huge acute problem. And because you listen, people perceive that is an agreement. And when you agree, it gives them confidence to propel and continue on with their story. Even though you may have never said anything about agreeing, just silently listening is perceived as agreeing. So when it comes to venting and complaining and gossiping, silence is the same as agreement. And it just gives them the confidence to propel. So if they feel comfortable are complaining to you, they're going to complain about everything to you because you listen. Therefore, you agree. Therefore, they have confidence to move forward with their complaining. It's this cycle that goes on and on. And so what happens is if you're being a manager, you step in, you solve the problem, you realize, where is everybody? This really wasn't a problem. And I've run into this in some of my roles with surgeons, and they'll come and complain to you. But when you ask them, well, did you take it to the chief of staff? And they'll be like, no. Well, if you want the problem solved, you need to take it to the right person or you need to solve it yourself. But if they're not willing to do that, it's not your job to jump in and save them from themselves. So that's a huge one, I think, that catches people off guard. And then micromanaging is another one where we're managing down to the task and then it shows we don't trust them and we aren't empowering them and they don't feel valued and it leads to a disengagement. And so those are some of the big red flags of when you're managing versus leading. Now, when you should be leading, when you're just stagnant and maybe your KPIs are just, your outcomes, or maybe they're average, but they haven't really moved forward. But everything's fine, status quo. I mean, nothing to complain about. Then you're probably not leading. And so what leading looks like is on evaluations, what's your goal? Helping them realize what they're passionate about, identifying talents. People don't know what their talents are because they think they're automatic and therefore they're easy for everyone else as well, which is just the opposite. If something comes truly easy to you, it's probably a talent that 100,000 other people don't have. So inspiring them to find their thing. Next, knowing when to lead. I like to talk about, I think this is a great quote about the difference between leading and managing and when to do both. So it's described as, getting off the dance floor and going to the balcony. An image that captures the mental activity of stepping back in the midst of action and asking, what's really going on here? So knowing when to step back, when to move forward, when to step back, when to move forward. A time when you might need to manage versus lead might be with new supervisors that don't really know the ropes. They might need you shoulder to shoulder and showing them what a day would look like and problem solving together until they can get on their feet and develop some skills. And then you step back. So, great book. Check it out. I hope these tips helped you today, managing versus leading, when you're managing, and the red flags that say you're managing when you should be leading. If you have any questions, reach out on our website, www.withinleader.com, or you can email me from the website. Have a great day, and I hope this helps you throughout the rest of your week.